So you're thinking about moving to Indianapolis, but you want to know how much it actually costs to live here. Well, in this video, we'll be talking about the cost of housing, rent, utilities, the cost of groceries, and more right now. Last year, I had posted a cost of living in Indiana, and now it's time to do a cost of living in Indianapolis. So, Indianapolis is more expensive than Indiana as a whole since it's a more densely populated area. The cost of living in Indiana is 7% lower than the national average, but living in Indianapolis is 2% higher than the state average. So, let's go ahead and jump into housing. And so, in my last video, is Indianapolis a good or bad place to live? I said the median home price was $230,000 in Indianapolis. Well, unfortunately, that is not correct. The actual median sales price is $247,500. So that's a $17,500 increase. And that $247,500 amount is going to get you into a smaller home or condo. To get into something bigger, like 1,700 to 2,000 square feet, you're looking at least 270,000 to 300,000 as a median price. Now, when we get into, say, renting an apartment, the rent for a one-bedroom apartment is going to be $1,375. For a two-bedroom apartment, it's going to be $1,775. And for rent for a three-bedroom apartment, it's going to be over $2,000. And that also really depends on what apartment complex you're going to be into. Say if you want to rent a house that's around 1,300 square feet, you're looking at about $1,600 to $1,800 per month. It really just depends on where you're at in Indianapolis. If you're in the center of downtown, it's going to be more of an apartment. Yes, you can find some houses, but they're going to be more expensive to rent for sure. Now jumping into mortgages, and the average mortgage payment in Indianapolis is going to be $1,771. Now that's just an average. Some people have a lower payment due to a lower interest rate, and some people have a higher payment due to a higher interest rate. As of right now, the interest rate for a mortgage is sitting right around 7.2%, but that also depends on various factors like your debt to income ratio, your credit score, and all that. Unfortunately, the 2 to 3% interest rates are not coming back in our lifetime, most likely. For your utilities, your average utilities for electric is going to be $127 to $163 per month. If you have a gas appliance or a water heater or furnace that's gas, you're looking at right around $103 per month. For cable and internet, $113 per month, and your water bill, $31 per month. Now, that just depends on your usage of your electricity and your gas. It just depends on the time of year. Your heating bills could vary. And then your AC bills in the summer, that could also vary as well, depending on if it's electric or gas. But those are just averages based on this state and living in Indianapolis. Now for property taxes, because who doesn't love paying property taxes on your home and land? My favorite part about home ownership. Anyway, the Indiana average is 0.75 versus the national average of 0.99. Indiana as a whole has a ranking of 21 for property taxes out of the 50 states. For income tax, our average income tax is going to be 3.15%, and for sales tax, 7%. Now jumping into healthcare costs. Healthcare costs, they can differ depending on the doctors and whatnot, but some average costs for, say, a doctor's visit is going to be $93.38. The cost for a dentist visit is going to be $98.03, and the cost for an optometrist visit is going to be $68.08. Now that just depends on which doctor you go to, what your insurance covers, who's in network and who isn't in network, all that fun stuff. For gas prices, I chose 3 popular gas stations here in Indiana: Kroger, Speedway, and BP. For Kroger, you're looking at $3.65, Speedway $3.60, and BP is the cheapest, coming in at $3.58. Those of you who have children, and if those children need to be in daycare, the price can vary depending on the age of your children, how many days a week they go, and if they're there for half days or full days. Monthly daycare costs can be between $850 to over $10,000 a month. Larger cities and suburban areas such as Indianapolis generally have higher daycare costs. I know this doesn't really narrow down the cost of daycare, but there are just so many variables when choosing a daycare, since $850 to $10,000. That's such a big range, but again, so many factors when picking a good daycare for your children that meet all of your requirements as well. If you found this video helpful and you want to know everything there is to know about living in central Indiana, go ahead and subscribe below so you can be the first to learn everything there is to know about the central Indiana market. My business partner Julie and I, we get calls and texts every single day from people just like you who are looking to make their move to central Indiana. So whether that's in 9 days or 9 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or set up a Zoom call. Now back to the video. Now let's move on to the cost of groceries. So I chose 4 stores in Indianapolis. Each store covers different price points. So the 4 stores are going to be Walmart, Kroger, Meijer, and Whole Foods. I chose Whole Foods because it's the most expensive out of the group, and they specialize more in healthier options than the other 3. The things I chose to price out were milk, eggs, meat, coffee, beer, peanut butter, and paper towels. Now, I will warn you with Whole Foods, a lot of the brands that the other 3 have, I couldn't necessarily find with Whole Foods. So I chose the next best thing, and that's going to be the Whole Foods brand 365. Now let's get into the weeds and find out the prices of all of these places. So I'm going to be looking down at my computer for pricing here. So let's go ahead and start with milk. So we're going to go for Walmart, Kroger, Meijer, and Whole Foods. So starting with the milk cost at Walmart for their great value brand of milk, it's going to be $2.66. For Kroger's brand of 1 gallon milk, it's going to be $2.79. Meijer brand 1 gallon of milk is going to be $2.76, and the Whole Foods brand of milk is going to be $5.99. So for a price comparison between all 4 stores, Walmart's going to be 13 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 4 cents more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be a whopping $3.20 more than Kroger. So quite a price difference between Kroger and Whole Foods, with Whole Foods being the most expensive out of all of that. And you're going to see a theme there with Whole Foods being more expensive than the other places most of the time. When I was pricing out the eggs, I chose the store brand of eggs, and I also chose another brand, Eggland's Best, since it's very popular as well, and all eggs are going to be a pack of a dozen. So the Walmart Great Value brand of eggs is going to be $2.04. Kroger brand of eggs is going to be $2.09. Meijer, $2.69. And Whole Foods is going to be $3.39. So breaking down the cost difference of the store brand eggs, Walmart is going to be 4 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 60 cents cheaper than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be 70 cents more than the Meijer brand eggs. For Eggland's Best at Walmart, we have $4.78. For Kroger, we have $4.99. Meijer is going to be $4.49, and for Eggland's Best at Whole Foods, they unfortunately didn't have that brand. For the Eggland's Best comparison, Walmart's going to be 21 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 50 cents more than Meijer. When I was pricing out the meat, I chose chicken and ground beef. I chose the store brand of meat since there are other brands, but I just wanted to make it simple. Chose store brand. So starting with the ground beef, for a pound of ground beef at Walmart is $4.74. Kroger, we're looking at $5.49 for a pound of ground beef. Meijer ground beef for a pound is going to be $5.99, and then the Whole Foods ground beef is going to be $6.99 per pound. Walmart's going to be 75 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 50 cents cheaper than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be a whole dollar more than Meijer. Now moving on to the chicken, I just chose a pound of chicken breast. So starting with Walmart, that is going to be $2.67. Kroger is going to be $5.99. Meijer is going to be $3.09, and Whole Foods is going to be $6.99. So breaking that cost comparison down, we're looking at Walmart as being $3.32 cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be $2.90 cheaper than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be a whole dollar more than Kroger. Now moving on to coffee. So there are so many different brands of coffee beans, ground coffee. You have different styles. I just chose Starbucks because that's what a lot of people like. It's very popular, so that's kind of what we're going to go with. So I did 3 different types of bags. We have the 12-ounce bag, 18-ounce bag, and 28-ounce bag. So starting with Walmart with the 12-ounce bags, we're looking at $8.48. Kroger, you're looking at $8.99 for a 12-ounce bag. Meijer is going to be $9.99 for that 12-ounce bag. Whole Foods, so Whole Foods doesn't have Starbucks coffee. They have their own brand. Go figure. So Whole Foods brand is going to be $8.29, for the 12-ounce bag of coffee. Walmart's going to be 51 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger's going to be $1 more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be 70 cents cheaper than Kroger. Now moving on to the 18-ounce bags. Only Walmart and Meijer had the 18-ounce bags. Kroger and Whole Foods do not have those. For an 18-ounce bag of Starbucks coffee at Walmart, we're looking at a price of $12.48. And Meijer, we're looking at $13.99. So Walmart is going to be $1.51 cheaper than Meijer. And for the 28-ounce bags of coffee, I could only find them at Walmart and Meijer as well. Kroger and Whole Foods don't have those. So for Walmart, we're looking at $19.26. For Meijer, we're looking at $18.99. So now let's go ahead and move on to beer. And when I was pricing out beer, there are so many different types of beers, brands, and whatnot. So what I did was I just kind of averaged the cost of beers, and the price that I was consistently seeing, I just took that. And I also priced out White Claw since a lot of people like those too. So let's go ahead and move on to the 12-pack of White Claws, and all these are going to be 12 packs for White Claws and beer. So for Walmart, a 12-pack of White Claws is going to be $16.98. Kroger, we're looking at $16.99. White Claws at Meijer are going to be $16.49, and White Claws at Whole Foods is going to be $17.99. So I was actually able to find White Claws at Whole Foods. So breaking that price comparison down, Walmart is 1 cent cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is 50 cents more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is $1 more than Kroger. Now let's go ahead and move on to the 12-pack of beer. So for Walmart, we're looking at $13.47. Kroger is going to be $17.99. Meijer is going to be $12.99, and Whole Foods is going to be $18.99. So that price comparison is going to be Walmart is $4.52 cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be $5 more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be $1 more than Kroger. So let's go ahead and move on to the bread, and I chose 3 different brands of bread. I chose the Sunbeam white bread, Sara Lee, and the Pepperidge Farm bread. But for Whole Foods, they don't have any of those brands, so what I did was I just chose the whole wheat bread, multigrain bread, and gluten-free white bread. So just to kind of compare the cost to the others, not necessarily great comparables, but it'll give you an idea of what Whole Foods costs. So starting with the Sunbeam white bread from Walmart, we're looking at $2.42. Kroger is going to be $2.69. Meijer is going to be $2.55. And for the Whole Foods whole wheat bread is going to be $3.49. So Walmart's going to be 27 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 14 cents more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be 80 cents more than Kroger. For the Sara Lee white bread at Walmart, we are looking at $2.50. Sara Lee is $3.69. Meijer is going to be $2.99. Whole Foods and their multigrain bread is going to be $3.49. Price comparison, so Walmart's going to be $1.19 more than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 70 cents more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be 20 cents cheaper than Kroger, surprisingly. And last but not least is going to be the Pepperidge bread. So that's going to be $3.87 at Walmart. For Kroger, it's going to be $4.99. Meijer is going to be $4.49, and the Whole Foods gluten-free white bread is going to be $6.29. So Walmart's going to be $1.15 cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is going to be 50 cents more than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be $1.30 more than Kroger. Now moving on to the peanut butter, I chose 2 brands. I chose the store-bought brand of peanut butter, and then I chose Jif, since Jif is a very popular brand. So this will probably be no surprise to you, but Whole Foods doesn't have Jif. They have their own brand, the 365 brand. So starting with the Great Value brand of peanut butter from Walmart, we're looking at $1.94. Kroger brand of peanut butter, we're looking at $2.19. Meijer, $2.15, and Whole Foods, $2.49. So the Walmart brand is 25 cents cheaper than Kroger. Kroger is 4 cents more expensive than Meijer, and Whole Foods is going to be 30 cents more expensive than Kroger. Now moving on to the Jif peanut butter, and at Walmart we're looking at $3.12. Kroger, $3.29. Meijer is going to be $3.29. So comparisons, Walmart's going to be 17 cents cheaper. And the last thing on our list is going to be paper towels. I chose Bounty paper towels just because they were a very popular brand. Now, of course, Whole Foods doesn't have Bounty paper towels at their stores. They have the Whole Food brand of 6-pack paper towels. And for the Bounty brand, I chose 8 packs. So jumping into the pricing, the Bounty 8-pack at Walmart's going to be $22.18. Kroger is going to be $23.99. Meijer is going to be $23.99. And the Whole Food brand of 6-pack paper towels is $19.99. Walmart is going to be $1.81 cheaper than Kroger. And I'm not really even going to compare the cost of the Whole Foods 6-pack because it's not a great comparison. But on average, we're looking about $3 to $4 more expensive than the rest. So that's the cost of living in Indianapolis, Indiana. Some of the costs will vary, like utilities, mortgage payments, and childcare, but gas and groceries will stay pretty consistently. And remember, if you're looking to move in 9 days or 9 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or set up a Zoom call.